All right, what is going on, everyone? We're about 1 month, a little over 1 month into the NBA season. I just want to kind of do a wrap up, some overreactions to what the first month of the season has been. I'll probably do another one of these um, at All Star break because it's so easy to overreact to a sport that's just so up and down and so many things could happen within a season within teams. Um, so some of these might be really quick because there's nothing to say about these teams. Other ones I might go in a little more depth where they stand with draft picks in the sense of if they're at the bottom of the conference, are they just gonna throw in the towel in a couple months and say, hey, we're gonna tank for Cooper Flag? We'll get into that. But if you like what I have to say, if you have your own thoughts, um, like, comment, subscribe if you want to. That'd be great. And let's get into it. Right at the top, we'll go to Eastern Conference to Western Conference. Um, we'll see if we talk about all these teams. I don't know. Um, First one's the Cavs. Cavs have looked brilliant the first month of the season. Nobody expected them to be this good. I always thought the Cavaliers were a competent team and that they were a piece away, and that piece away would have to be acquired through trading Darius Garland, trading um, Jared Allen, and they have proven all the doubters wrong. Um, they've had they have had their rough games as individual players. Darius had a bad game against the Celtics when they lost their first game, um, and you would want more. You would want more from Evan Mobley, but at this point, this might be his ceiling for now, and this might just be what he is, and he's a good player, but he might be your third to fourth option on a championship team. Um, yeah, the Celtics. What is there to say about the reigning champs? Even in a loss, you're like, oh, well, it's just a loss. They lost against X team. Um, they are 8-2 in their last 10. Um, they score a bunch of points. They they have a great away record. Their home record is a little worse, but their away record's even better. Um, yeah, there's not much to say about these guys. Uh, as I'm recording this, Kristaps is going to play his first game, hopefully against the Clippers. I believe that's tonight or tomorrow. So they'll have the full starting group back, hopefully. Um, Let me actually look if they have anybody else on the injury report that they would need. Um, Al Horford will be out apparently day to day, with a an illness. But once he gets back, once he recovers from that illness, they should have their full group back, their full team back, and that'll be good for them. Orlando 11-7 on the season. Um, I I had my doubts about Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner has put together a great few games without Paulo being there. Um, he's not afraid of the moment. Um, the team had some questions about, well, you have a lot of guards, you have a lot of pieces. You bring in a guy like KCP who hasn't been too great this season, but is a I'll say a floor raiser, right? Because you want to raise your floor from only a playoff contender to conference finals contender. That's what you want to do these next couple years, and KCP can help you do that. Um, but I think the question still remains: what do you do with some of this talent? Like you have a bunch of guards, you have a bunch of guys, and Jonathan Isaac and Wendell and Mo Wagner and Anthony Black, and that I could go on and on, but you start to think if this season continues to go well, maybe they don't end up as the 3 seed, maybe they end up as the 4 or the 5, because Milwaukee would probably go up the chain. Um, Miami could sneak in there. Obviously, the Knicks, once they get more playing time together, will figure it out. Um, do you, as the Orlando Magic, do you make that decision? Hey, we had a good season this year. We made the playoffs. We made a bit of a deeper run. Do we go and get another guy? Do we consolidate all our assets or most of our assets because you have a boatload of them and say, hey, let us go get another piece to complement Franz, to complement um, Paulo, um, and your other guys that you like? Do you go and do that? And the other question is, can you do that? Because you've, I don't want to say overpaid for Jalen Suggs, but you gave that guy a bag. Paulo's got a bag. Franz has got a bag. Are you ready to be a what do you call it, a over the hard cap team? You know what I mean? And lose those abilities to sign sign was it free agents, during the season, mid-level exception guys, this and that and the third. Are you ready for that? Do they need to do that? I don't know. This is a question probably for the end of the season, but they've 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 started the season great, and I hope they have a great season. The Knicks 6-4 in their last 10. Um, they are they're an interesting team. Like I said, I think, like I said in one of my first videos, my first couple of videos, is an obvious what do you call it, breakdown, but they look like a team who just acquired a guy that didn't have a full training camp, didn't have a full summer with these guys, and you also have Mikal Bridges who did have those things, but is struggling to fit a little bit. He has had some 20-point outbursts. He has had some good defensive games, but him and Cat on the floor, I think I saw the defensive rating is really bad for some reason, um, and they just they need more time to get the cohesion, get the reps in together, and they're the 4 seed. They're number 4 in the conference. They're not bad by any means. Um, and like I said, these might be some overreactions, but say this season doesn't pan out as good as it did last year. I think you take this one, you say, hey, we made a big offseason acquisition right before the season started. We expected it to take a bit longer. We'll take the L, and we'll going into the next season, not this one, the one after this one, we will just be better. We will be the team we were in 2023. 2024, 2025 was just a bad year. And then 2025, 2026 will be our year, um, if anything. And if they manage to figure it out during this season, hats off to Jalen Brown. Hats off to Jalen Brunson. Hats off to Cat. Hats off to Tom Thibodeau for making it work. You know, Miami Heat 5-5 in the last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak though. Um, Also, just to note, the Boston Celtics are on a 5-game winning streak. I forgot to say that when I was talking about them. 7-7 on the season. Um, this is a Miami Heat sort of year. It's sort of you know, what they do. They kind of remain around. They hover around this for a while. They go up. They go down. Um, Jimmy Butler's had some better games. He seems more locked in. He seems more, hey, I really need to give a SIHT about the regular season. And yeah, I I'm not really interested in watching the Heat. To be completely honest, they're just one of those teams where you're like, either they're good or they're having a good night or they're having a bad night. Um, I don't know if they have any injuries at the moment. Let me see. Let's go down the list here and see if they have any injuries of note because I have not been watching them. Um, Terry Rozier is out with a foot injury. Um, I don't think that's a big blow. Heat fans have sort of turned on Terry Rozier from what I've seen. He sort of underperformed for his contract, so um, yeah. Milwaukee Bucks. I've talked about the Bucks enough. in previous videos. They're 8-9 though. 7-3 in their last 10 on a 4-game winning streak. Um, they're starting to put it together, and that's all I can really say. They're starting to put it together. Um, Still waiting on Chris Middleton. Um, I think they said there's really no timetable on him. He's doing practice things. But he's still not ready, from my understanding. So it's just the Dame and Giannis show. Um, I think I think this year is very interesting for them because they do have some choices to make. I believe Brooke Lopez is a free agent at the end of this year. Do they re-sign him during this year, during this season? Do they move on and find another big? Because Brooke Lopez really hasn't been the Brooke Lopez when they won the championship. He sets some hard screens. He's a smart passer, but his effort sometimes just isn't there. I don't know if that's because of old age and he's just kind of like going through the motions, but um, I think, like I said, the Bucks have a chance to turn it around. Um, I could definitely see them taking. I see the Knicks and the Bucks moving up in the seeding, and maybe the Orlando Magic falling down, depending on when Paulo returns. Um, let me make sure I'm not talking on my neck. Let me make sure Paulo is still out because I think he's still out, right? Yeah, he's still out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Jalen Suggs is day to day, so there's that too. Um, let's move down to these teams that are in the play-in at the moment. Um, Atlanta, Indiana, Brooklyn, Chicago. All these teams are 7-10 or 7-11. Um, I don't want to spend too much time on them individually, but just looking at the teams here, they're either having a problem with a superstar, well, not a superstar, with one of their players not playing well, with their star being out in Atlanta's case, or being in and out of the lineup. Brooklyn's just sort of meandering around here, the bottom of the the play-in towards the bottom of the of the conference. They do have their pick this year, and I'm looking at Tankathon right now. Um, Tankathon has them taking Nolan Trayor with the ninth pick right now, um, point guard. They did say the Nets did come out and say that they are willing to trade Cam Thomas this season, like during the season, not waiting to end the season. Um, I think that's a smart move. I would always trade. I would always err on the side of caution and trade somebody at their peak when you are looking to start a rebuild. You know, if you have talent, if Cam Johnson starts to have a better year, trade him too. You know, you can get some good stuff off these teams that are trying to compete for guys like Cam Johnson and Cam Thomas. Um, I really do believe that. Don't wait. Just get rid of it. You know, thank him for his service. You know, thank him for having a good year and getting picks or another young player that's younger that needs more development time. You know, and that sort of thing. And Chicago's just meandering around here. Chicago's just bad. They're just bad. They're just the middest of mid. I'm surprised they are at 10. Um, but moving to the bottom of the conference, that's Detroit, Charlotte, Toronto, um, Philly, and Washington. All these guys, they're either 3 to 4 games under 500 or just flat out 10 games under 500. Um, Charlotte is the outlier here. Charlotte and Detroit are the outlier here in the sense of they have some really good young talent who's been playing, um, but they just can't pull out wins. LaMelo had a 40 bomb or a 50 bomb. I forget what it was, but he had a crazy game and they lost. Um, but let's just go to see what these guys are playing for at the bottom of the conference. Um, right now, again, this is Tankathon. They have the number one pick going to Washington, um, and they're taking the guy from Duke, the main event, Cooper Flag. Um, that's really good for them. Is it good? Is it good for Cooper Flag? I don't know. I think that's sort of a weird spot for him to land. Washington has never been able to, let me say, they can develop talent questionably. I mean, John Wall and Bradley Beal had some good years. Bradley Beal was the highest paid player in the NBA for a while. Was that because he was the best player? No, but usually the highest paid player is not the best player in this league. I'll say that right now. Um, but going down the mock draft, um, they have the Sixers with the second pick taking Ace Bailey. I think that Sixers pick is top six protected. Or is it? I forget which one it is. But I saw something on Twitter this morning where it was, if something happens, OKC gets it. I don't know what that is, but if that's the case, then OKC is getting Ace Bailey. um, at four, I'm only going through the Eastern Conference teams right now, obviously, so I'm not going to go through the whole mock draft. But at four, the Tankathon has the Raptors taking Igor from BYU. Is this Igor? Yeah, Igor from BYU. I'm not familiar with this young man, but he's a top four pick for a reason. Um, at six, they have the Charlotte Hornets taking Trey Johnson out of Texas. Um, they have the Pistons taking, what the heck? Khan from Duke, shooting guard, small forward, and they have the Bulls taking another guy from Duke. Duke has a loaded squad this year. Sheesh. And at nine, again, they have the Nets taking Nolan Trayor. Um, so yeah, these bottom teams are just playing for picks right now. Um, could I see them doing it again? A lot of these teams have been here before, just packing it in halfway through the season and trading off some other guys. Yes, Charlotte did suffer the loss of Grant Williams. He tore something in his knee, so he'll be out for the rest of the season. So that's another blow for them. But that's pretty much it. The the Eastern Conference is pretty defined at the moment. This is standard Eastern Conference stuff where the good teams are really good and the bad teams are really bad, and then you have the guys like the Atlantas, the Indianas, the Miamis who are sort of hovering around here and could end up higher and could end up lower, but the top of it is the top. Um, and right now, that's Cleveland, Boston, and Orlando. They are cooking. Um, let's move on to the Western Conference, where it gets a bit more interesting. Um, in the sense of there aren't a lot of Western Conference teams that are good that have picks in the top um, as of right now. But the Warriors outperforming everybody's expectations at the moment. They did lose to San Antonio the other night, um, but Vic went crazy, so it's an excusable loss. And I believe it was a third game in 3 nights or a third game in 4 nights. So those are games you probably will lose. People suspected that they might rest Steph and them, but Steph did play. So hats off to them for actually wanting to improve this this good winning streak or this good momentum they have because they're only on a 1 game losing streak and they're 7-3 in their last 10, and OKC is right on their bumper, sitting at 12-4, same record. Um, Houston right there as well, 12-6. Um, these guys right here. Let me see. Do the Rockets have a pick? The Rockets do not have a pick in the top 10. We're barely in the top 20 either. Um, the the Rockets should be playing to be good, and they have been playing like they should be good. They have been playing like they should be playing when you don't have a pick and you have a young roster. Just go out there and surprise everybody. Um, the OKC staying afloat without Chet, without some of their main guys, um, is great to see. The Lakers have been slipping a little bit. They're on a 2 game losing streak. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Um, but that's with some um, roster. I'll say roster realignment. Um, they've sort of they sort of get into these slumps, and a young coach in JJ Redick doesn't really know how to get them out of them. And LeBron sort of realizes that it's the beginning of the season; these things happen. So they're playing like an older team where a loss is a loss and a win is a win. And if LeBron or AD or whoever it is going off on the night, they'll try to win the game. But I don't think they're stressing about these losses at the moment. They're top four in the West. That's really good considering where they were last year with the coach they had. You know, four and or 10-6 for JJ Redick is different for 10-6 than Darvin Ham. You know what I mean? Um, Clippers, James Harden keeping them afloat. Shout out Norman Powell. I haven't given Norman Powell enough love, even though I should, because Norman Powell has been the best addition by subtraction story this season. Um, Literally is just a better PG at this point in the season right now. Denver Nuggets. Um, ha, what am I gonna say? They're just sitting right here, and they have improved a lot. They're 7-3 in their last 10, um, 9-6 on the season. Um, they've played a lot of away games, or let me see. No, they've played an equal amount of away and home games, almost. Um, they've turned it around. I could definitely see them. Um, I said some things about them earlier in the season, and I was sort of correct. And but they are holding on. They're not in the play-in. They're a couple. They're a win and a loss away from being above or in the play-in at the moment. Um, Not really much to say about them. Um, Memphis, Phoenix, Dallas, and San Antonio are all in the play-in right now. This is what I mean when the West is sort of excuse me, sticky right now. I'm gonna take a drink. My throat is dry. Where Phoenix, Dallas, Memphis shouldn't be down here, but Dallas is without Luca. Memphis has just been can't catch a break with the injuries. Um, Still no Kevin Durant for Phoenix. Um, these teams should not be here. They should be higher up, but when 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 Houston is good, when the Clippers and the Lakers are still holding on, this is what happens. Good teams are going to be in the play in, and going to be dangerously in trouble of falling behind teams if Minnesota can get it going, if Sacramento can get it going. Um, you could even be out of the playoffs. Do I think that's a reality for these teams? No, maybe San Antonio. I've said this from the beginning. I think San Antonio would be happy just making the play in, but I don't think some of these teams should be here. They're playing to be good. You know what I mean? Um, They don't have any top 10 picks. Um, they should be better. And I think once if they can get in stride, I'm talking about Dallas and Phoenix. They can be they could take a Denver spot from not having to play in the play-in. They could take um, a Houston spot. I don't think Houston will retain this momentum. I think they will be a borderline play-in, not play-in team, but play-in team, if that makes sense. Around six or seven. Um, but just to talk about Memphis, I have no idea what's been going on the past couple years in Memphis. Um, they just can't seem to stay healthy. Um, they just can't seem to keep players on the court, and they're not in a bad situation because they are on a two-game winning streak and they're 6-4 in their last 10. But when you when you when when you're a team that is constantly when you went from like a team that was on the rise to a team that's now like middle of the pack simply because you don't have your talent can't stay healthy or can't stay out of its own way, it's troubling. And I think that's something we should keep an eye on with Memphis going forward. Um, Heading to the bottom of the conference, Minnesota, Sacramento, Portland, Utah, New Orleans, um, all under 500. Nobody's 10 games under 500 quite yet. New Orleans is treading that water. Utah's treading that water. They're playing for picks. Um, Tankathon has Dylan Harper going to New Orleans right now at the third pick. BJ Edgecombe going to Utah, the fifth pick. Um, Liam McNeely out of UConn at the 10 pick going to um, the Trailblazers. Derek Queen from Maryland going to um, the Kings. Drake Powell going to Dallas with the 13th. Will Riley going to San Antonio at the 14th pick. Um, so yeah, um, Portland does not have a pick, and they should be better. Let me just look at it again. Oh, my bad. Portland did have a pick. I just had a brain fart right there. But they don't have any other pick. They just have that one pick right now in the first round. They don't have another one to the 40th. So they should be trying to be bad, but like I think you could if you're gonna be bad, commit to being bad. There were some rumors that they're trying to get rid of one of their three bigs, whether that be I don't think anybody wants Aiton, but whether it's Robert Williams, Aiton, or they're gonna keep clinging, but trying to get rid of one of them, clear up some space, probably clear up more playing time for the young guy. Um, yeah, and Sacramento should be better. I I haven't heard anything about Sacramento, so I assume they're just treading water. I know De'Aaron Fox has been better this season, which I'm a big De'Aaron Fox fan. Um, Always liked him over Lonzo in the draft process when they got drafted, and in the past, and even now, like him more. Um, New Orleans, I don't want to spend too much time on them because the video is already long, but I told you guys. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. New Orleans should just blow it up. Zion got rid of his or his representation let him go. I don't know which way it went, but because Zion wanted to go New York and he didn't get to New York. They didn't push the trade hard enough apparently. So you have a guy who doesn't want to be there. You have a bunch of talent. You have Bi who's been in trade rumors the past 2.5, 3 years. Um, and you have young players looking for contracts. You have guys who already have contracts who should probably be on championship or playoff contending teams and that stuff. And it's just a bad situation in New Orleans, and it's been mishandled. And that's all I'll say because I could go on and on. But that's the wrap up. 1 month into the season. Um, let's quickly, if I can get it, go to the schedule, see if there are any big games tonight, um, or tomorrow. Tuesday, Miami versus Milwaukee in Miami, and Phoenix versus LA in Phoenix. Um, I will take the Miami Bucks by single digits. We know the history these teams have. I think Milwaukee can pull it out though. Even though the Miami Heat are hooping. Um, and I'll take the Lakers against Phoenix. I think they'll have a good game. I think they should have a good game plan for Phoenix without KD. So yeah, that's it. If you like what I had to say, if you don't like what I had to say, leave a comment. Always love to hear people's opinions. It's not just my opinions here. Even though I'm the one talking, you guys can always drop a comment, and maybe consider subscribing too, and hit that like button. Thank you all for watching. Cheers.